Maybe you can relate. I am not a fan of heights. No, I'm not a fan of heights. It's scary. I cannot walk to the edge of a tall cliff and look down. I get butterflies in my stomach, my knees start to wobble. It's the same in a tall building. If I'm in a room that's floor to ceiling windows, I cannot walk to the window to look down. It's just, it does something to me in my body, and I get nervous, and so I want to stay away from the edge. And yet, I have no fears flying in an airplane. I can sit at the window seat, look down thousands of feet, doesn't bother me. I've been in helicopters, doesn't bother me. In fact, one time in the state of Morelos here in Mexico, I went on an ultralight trip. That's where you're sitting behind a guy who's your pilot in this like kite looking thing with a motor, and the only thing holding you in is a seatbelt that's across your lap. And yet, I didn't get the butterflies in my stomach. My knees didn't wobble. It was fun, it was exciting. I loved it. One time, I even did a bungee jump off a 90-foot platform here in Mexico. And it wasn't the jump that I was afraid of. It wasn't physically jumping off and being in the air. That was fun. That was really a blast. I hadn't done that before. What was really scary, what got my knees knocking, was the fact that when I was up on that platform, even though I was all tethered in with a bungee cord and everything like that, the thing was, the guy who was working there said, okay, he said, you have to go right to the very edge of the platform, you know, before I jumped. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do it. I shuffled forward a little bit, and he said, no, you have to go all the way to the end. So I went a couple inches more, and he said, no, all the way to the very end. And honest to God, I looked at him, I turned, and I said, if I do that, I might fall. I really said that, and he kind of laughed. And he said, well, let me grab your arm. And so he grabbed my arm and coaxed me to the end of that platform. And there I am looking 90 feet down. That was nerve-wracking. However, what wasn't nerve-wracking was jumping off the platform in the air and doing the bungee jump. That was the fun part. So again, I'm not quite sure. Can any of you relate to this? Or am I the only one? All my life, I've liked outdoor adventures, whether it was hiking or biking, like I'm doing today, or swimming. It's just those kinds of things that I liked. One of the things that I really like here in Mexico are all the different opportunities to go rappelling. Even though I still get butterflies and wobbly knees when I'm at the precipice before I start my descent in a rappel, it's the exhilaration and the fun and the challenge of negotiating down a cliff. That's what I love. It's just fun. And I trust the equipment, and I guess maybe that's why when I'm in an airplane, when I'm in a helicopter, when I'm in an ultralight, I trust the pilot, I trust the equipment. When I'm rappelling, I trust the equipment, I trust the guides who are there to watch over me. Maybe that's the difference between why I'm not afraid when I'm tethered or when I'm in an airplane, let's say, as compared to just me walking up to the cliff. Is it that I don't trust myself? I'm not sure. My advice for someone who is just starting out in the adventure realm, and maybe they haven't been all that adventurous throughout their life, and now they're on vacation and they have opportunities to do some adventure activities. Well, I would suggest the very first one to start out with, if you're a newbie, is zip lining. Zip lining pretty much is something that you don't have to really participate in, other than they strap you in, fun, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment when you've done it. But you really don't have to work at it. Everything's kind of done for you. That's why I think it's a good first activity to do. After that might be whitewater river rafting. Again, you are participating. You do have a paddle. You're told what to do, when to paddle, when not to paddle, what to do. Because of the fact that inside the boat, you have a guide who's leading you down the river. So once again, you have that support of the guide behind you who's really steering the boat, and you're accompanying him as well as the other guests by helping out. That would be maybe the second thing that I would suggest as an activity. But the third could be rappelling. Now, rappelling is a little bit different. Once you're over the cliff, you're sort of on your own as far as what moves you make, how fast the descent is, where you're going to put your feet, things like that. However, you're not alone. First of all, you have good equipment. Second of all, your guide who's at the top, he or she is guiding you all the way down for the most part. And that is that they're giving you directions at the start when you're at the precipice, and they're also looking over the edge, and they're suggesting, like, put your foot here, go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. They're encouraging, good job, everything's going good. All right, now this is her very first time rappelling. So she's nervous. She's breathing heavy. Okay, now he's giving her directions, how to control it, how to release it so she goes down, how to stop it. He's taking off the safety harness. Now she's just to the rappel rope. Here she goes. Yep. Go, Nadia!
Para las piernas, piernas abiertas.
The wetsuit protected her.
Se juntan las piernas, pierden el equilibrio. Esa es la
Yeah! All right! Woohoo! Hey, hey! Well, so you do have the support. However, they're not down there next to you to hold you by the hand. You're the one that's doing it. And I think that's where there's a big leap in the activities between ziplining, rafting, and rappelling. It's because you did it. When you reach the bottom, the enthusiasm, the self-confidence just soars. You just rappelled all the way down that cliff. And that is a really, really cool feeling. I would like to tell you about a trip that I took a while back with some travel agents to explore with a local host guide some different areas in and around the city of Guadalajara in the state of Jalisco. One of the mornings, our host guide said to us, okay, one of the things we're going to do today is we're going on a rappel. I was like, cool. I got excited about it. I'm like, I love rappelling, as I told you. But when I looked at the other people in my group, I realized their enthusiasm wasn't exactly overflowing. And I found out the reason why none of them had ever in their life rappelled before. It sounded scary to them. Hanging off the edge of a cliff, I don't know if that was exactly their cup of tea. Well, anyway, we went to this place called Los Dientes. Now, dientes in Spanish means teeth. And as you can see in this photograph I'm showing you, the rocks kind of look like teeth. There was a whole mess of them that looked like it, hence the name Los Dientes. Well, when we got to the location where we were going to do this, I took a double take. I'm thinking to myself, what? Is this a joke? This is what we're going to do, is rappel off this little tiny rock? And I thought, no way. I'm not interested in this. But when I looked at the people in my group, I could see they got excited, because in the back of their minds, they were thinking to themselves, I could do that. I could rappel down that rock. Yeah. And they were excited. Well, here's what happened. I thought, I don't need to do this. I mean, I came from a background of many rappels. I'd rappelled off 150-foot cliffs. I rappelled down waterfalls, in wetsuits. I rappelled off a sea cliff into a waiting boat bobbing in the ocean below me. I wasn't going to do this rappel. So what I did tell everybody was, listen, you don't have to put a harness on me, but I have a really nice camera. I'll be the photographer. I'll take photos and I can send them to you, and then you can show your kids and grandkids. And they were like, okay, cool. So that's what I did. I stood off to the side and took photos of them. Well, I have to tell you, these grown-up big kids were having the time of their life. Of course, they, like I said, they had never done this before. They would rappel down, and then you could easily walk back up, and then they would do it again. And then they'd rappel down, and then they'd walk back up, and they would do it again and again. And it reminded me of like kids in a park going down the slide. You ever watch that? The little kid, he slides down, and what does he do? As soon as he gets to the bottom, he runs around to the ladder, climbs back up, and does it again, and then runs around to the ladder, climbs back. These guys, these other people in my group, they must have done it like 6, 7, 8 times before we finally took off. And they, oh my gosh, they were smiling, they were laughing, they were posing for photos, They were adventurers that morning. They were just having a great time. Well, I realized that my initial premise was wrong. I was mistaken. I looked at it from my perspective, from the perspective of someone that had rappelled. Yeah, anybody that had done rappelling, that was into adventure outdoor activities, no, they're not going to be interested in that. But then I thought, wow, this host guide, he's smart, because there were so many people that had never rappelled before, and to them, this was like the bunny hill at a ski resort. Okay, this was like the starting point. This was to build their self-confidence up, that they could do it. And I realized there was value to doing this activity, especially for people that had never done it before. You could tell that they were having fun. They were having a great time, and I'm sure they took the photos that I sent them and showed it to all their friends, relatives, neighbors, to kind of showcase that they were adventurers in Mexico. So my question to you is, if you have never rappelled before, would you try it? Would you go down that little hill? And if you have rappelled before, I'd be curious to find out, where did you do it? And did you have fun? Was it exciting? Tell me about it. You can leave a comment below. All right, thanks again for watching, and if you are so inclined, I'd love for you to subscribe. Stay in touch, because every week I put out another video, something to do with Mexico. Since I'm here 6, 7, 8 months out of the year, I have lots of video to show you and lots of experiences. As they say here in Spanish, let me try it again. Take 2. As they say here in Spanish, nos vemos pronto. We'll see you soon. Bye everybody, until next week.